Well, all right, we are going to get going. Welcome to you. Welcome to everybody who's joining us through the video. My name is Mike Woods. I am the founder and CEO of Heartstrong Nutraceuticals. And just a little bit by way of background, I've been involved in the organic supplement space for over 30 years. Been very passionate about sourcing supplements that, again, are organic, all natural, sustainable. And from my personal health history, I've got a horrible history of cardiovascular disease in my family. On my mother's side, my grandfather died when he was 42 years old, dropped dead of a heart attack. On my father's side, my grandfather died of his third and final heart attack at 72. My father has already died once, and the EMTs brought him back, so just horrible genetics. But through my business and through natural health, I had the opportunity to go to a really exclusive clinic down in Southern California about 25 years ago. They did a complete body workout. They actually even tested my DNA, and it found out that I have a thing called an IL-1 gene, which means I am genetically prone to chronic inflammation. And if you're following anything in medical science right now, inflammation is the big boogeyman, and it's the big monster. And as a result of that IL-1 gene, I also had elevated cholesterol. Because if you understand inflammation, one of the responses is your body produces cholesterol. So I kind of went on this health journey to learn about cholesterol, and it was pretty scary to me. One of the things I learned, in fact, several things I learned, but my kind of premise is this: cholesterol is not the issue. Our bodies produce cholesterol. And this whole war on cholesterol has been going on for 50 years now. And here's my question: how's it worked? Yeah, exactly. Hasn't the same mortality rates, the same heart attack rates. Here's the truth about this is according to Harvard. About half the people that have heart attacks have elevated cholesterol. About half the people that have heart attacks have normal cholesterol. I'm going to say that again. Half the people have normal cholesterol. Half the people have elevated. So what do we learn from that? Nothing. We don't learn anything. That's not a conclusive data point, and I recognize that. This study just came out. This is fairly alarming. Journal of Nuclear Medicine. It just found in a whole group of statin drugs, your chances of Alzheimer's disease are increased 100%. Not 5%, not 10%, 100% increase in Alzheimer's disease if you take these statin drugs. Now, I would like to be in every cardiologist's office or every general practitioner's office where they're recommending a statin drug and go through that data. Here's the trade-off. You might lose your mind, but potentially, oh, actually, no. Does it even help your heart? Does it even prevent cardiovascular disease? The thing's absolutely crazy. So here's my contention, and this is backed up by all kinds of research. It starts with inflammation. And because of our society, we have chronically inflamed bodies. The food that we eat, the water that we drink, air pollution, pesticides, chemicals. My God, it's horrible. And so we have this chronic inflammation, and then our body has a healing response to inflammation. It produces cholesterol. Our body makes cholesterol. So think of kind of like spackle on a dented drywall. So you have a little dent in the drywall, say in your artery. Our body sends cholesterol to that to kind of smooth over that sore, smooth over that inflammation. The next thing our bodies do is they produce a protein called fibrin. It is a thin string-like protein. It kind of looks like a spider web under a microscope. So that fibrin binds over that cholesterol and it forms a plaque. Well, if we're back in the days where we were doing feast and famine, as soon as you went into famine mode, our bodies would automatically, through autophagy, digest that plaque, reprocess it into healthy proteins. But we don't live in famine anymore. We constantly have food. We're constantly inflamed. So we have layers of cholesterol, layers of fibrin, layers of cholesterol, layers of fibrin. They're chronic. Cholesterol is a very thick, sticky fat, and calcium deposits there. And so over time, we get calcium deposits in our soft plaques, we get hardening of the arteries, atherosclerosis. And that's very simplistically how it works, okay? The physicians that I've talked to, people that have done the surgeries or done autopsies, they say literally these arteries are like they're made out of concrete. They're rock hard. There's no flexibility. That's why blood pressure ends up going. So for me, I'm going, I know I'm predisposed to inflammation. I've always had slightly elevated cholesterol. I've read the studies about statin drugs. I am never going to take a statin drug. And my doctor knew this. Yeah, I said, I will never do this. To me, they're toxic. I'm not interested. But I am interested, do I have plaques? Because that's the stuff that'll ultimately kill you. And I learned about a thing called, just a very simple test called a coronary artery calcium scan. And funnily enough, as I'm doing this research, I got an email from Groupon, and it said, hey, here's a Groupon for a coronary artery test, $50. So I took it as a sign from God. There you go, $50, I can go get this test. And I did. And you got to understand my background. I've been taking organically sourced natural supplements for over 30 years, okay? CoQ10, omega-3 fatty acids, garlic supplements. I do not smoke. I do not drink. I work out 5 days a week, hard. So I'm going to be the poster child for somebody I've drank filtered water for 30 years. I have air filters in through my home. I'm going, okay, I'm going to be good to go. This is going to be good news. And it turns out my test, I was in the 50 to 75 percentile. They said essentially at 56 years old, I had the arteries of a 70-year-old man. And I can tell you, I was not happy. I was not happy at all. It's like, I'm supposed to be the healthy one, and I'm worse. How healthy is the average 56-year-old male? Not very, right? And I'm worse than that. And I was frustrated, but because of my background, I didn't take that as final. So I said, okay, I'm going to switch the research, and now I'm going to see, are there any natural compounds that actually dissolve plaques? And so I started going on this research, and I found out there's a whole group of natural enzymes called fibrinolytic enzymes. Remember, those cardiovascular plaques are made up of fibrin, which is this protein, and there is a class of enzymes. They're all natural. They're called fibrinolytic enzymes. I learned about this enzyme called nattokinase. It comes from a Japanese fermented soybean food called natto, and it's been consumed in Japan for centuries, if not millennia. Coincidentally, Japan has the lowest incidence of cardiovascular disease of any industrialized nation in the world. Must be a coincidence. Turns out that this enzyme nattokinase is a very potent fibrinolytic enzyme. And so I started reading all of these studies, and there's just a plethora of this information and this research out there. There was one study I read on a 26-week oral dose of nattokinase. So they just took natto as a supplement for 26 weeks, and there was a 36.6% reduction in arterial plaques. 26 weeks of a natural enzyme, and there's a 37% reduction in plaque size. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this not on the front page of the New York Times? Why is it that every cardiologist in the world is not saying, oh, let's get you on a statin drug, let's put a stent in, let's do bypass surgery? No, let's give you this natural enzyme that has no negative side effects, and it's clinically proven to digest plaques. Well, we know the answer, right? And I'm not going to go into that, but I think there's probably some money involved. And my research I've determined that statin drugs as a whole right now is about $1 trillion that we have invested in statin drugs around the world. And again, how's that working for you, right? Cardiovascular disease is still #1 killer in the world. I learned about another enzyme called serrapeptase. This was isolated in the University of Chicago in the 1980s. Again, a very, through clinical studies, very strong anti-inflammatory. And if you understand the triggering mechanisms for these plaques to start, it starts with inflammation. I'm going, well, that's interesting. My gosh, I'm reading all of these clinical data. They use serrapeptase in Europe and in Asia post-surgery because it's better than Motrin and it's better than ibuprofen and it's proven to reduce the swelling and it's proven to reduce the pain. I'm going, and it's a fibrinolytic enzyme. And I'm going, my gosh, this is so interesting. I read this report from Dr. Hans Nieper out of Germany. It says, we have therefore started to apply serrapeptase treatment to cases of severe narrowings of the carotid arteries, mostly in patients showing severe symptoms due to the narrowing. The therapeutic results are excellent, certainly life-saving. It is, however, mandatory that the therapy be conducted for a long time. The first reliable results can be expected in 6 to 8 months. Even up to 18 months after the onset of serrapeptase therapy, patients still have displayed improvement. So I'm just going, they're curing carotid artery. I mean, that's preventing strokes. And I'm going, this is unbelievable. I read this one study. This was a combination of serrapeptase and nattokinase combined. Now, this was an animal study, but here's what it found. 100% dissolution of amyloid plaques. What are amyloid plaques? Alzheimer's. So, I was absolutely dumbfounded. I had calcium deposits in my heart. So I started learning, how does our body absorb calcium? How does that work? And I learned about the correlation with vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. Everybody's afraid of the sun. They wear sunscreens. So we don't have any D3 anymore. K2 comes from organ meat. Who eats liver? Who eats kidneys or sweetbreads? I mean, our whole diets have changed. And I learned that D3 is absolutely critical for the absorption of calcium in our bodies, and K2 is critical for the placement of that calcium. So it doesn't go in your soft tissue, it doesn't go in your arteries, it doesn't go in your kidneys, you don't get kidney stones, you don't get gallstones, don't get cataracts. And I thought, my gosh. So here's what happened. I said, okay, I got all these enzymes, I got these vitamins, I've got coronary vascular disease. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy this stuff from Amazon and the health food store and get it all together. And I'm gonna come up with this little protocol and I'm gonna see if it works. And I'll give it a year. I'm just gonna experiment on myself. A year later, COVID hit. So I couldn't get to do it. You know, we're all locked down, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, remember? And so it was about 18 months later. I'd done all this on my own. I'd paid for the scan myself. My doctor didn't know I was doing any of this. And I went for my annual physical, and my doctor said, Mike, you know, your cholesterol's elevated, and, you know, your horrible history with your family, and we're really concerned. I know you'll never get on a statin. I'm not even going to talk to you about that. But Mike, I want you to take this thing called a coronary artery calcium score test. Would you do that? I went, oh yeah, sure, I've heard about those. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Yeah, let's order one of those. 2 days after the test, my doctor texted me. Now, I don't know about you. You're probably a big shot, but I'm not. My doctor doesn't text me. Okay, maybe his receptionist does, maybe the billing department, whatever. But my doc, from his cell phone to mine, he's going, I just got your test results back. And he goes, it's perfect. Your score is 0, right down there highlighted. No evidence of coronary artery disease. He goes, this is awesome. And he just expected, because I have high cholesterol and a horrible family history, and I'm big and I'm heavy, and he just thought for sure you were going to have deposits. And I said, is that good? He goes, oh my God, it's great, good for you. I'm so happy. I said, yeah, well, let me tell you the story. Let me show you my first baseline test from 18 months ago. He's go, what? You're what? And so I sent him my test side by side, and he's looking at my test before, where I'm in the 50 to 75 percentile, and now I'm perfect. And he's going, Mike, this is medically impossible. There's nothing in medicine right now that explains this. He goes, this is a miracle. I said, look, I'm wide open to miracles. Sign me up for everyone that I can take. However, let me give you the science. This didn't just spontaneously happen to me. And I gave him my research. And to his credit, he read the articles and he read the studies. Turns out he had advanced coronary artery disease. His calcium score was 800. Which, if you know anything about those scores, he was a very, very, very sick man. His father had died of a heart attack. His brother had heart disease. He had heart disease. His sister has heart disease. I mean, it's just in their family. He went on my protocol. 12 months later, he phones my cell phone. I was on the way to the gym. He goes, Mike, I haven't even told my wife yet. I go, what's up? He goes, I just got my test results back. I go, and? He said, when I started, my baseline was 800. My coronary artery calcium score today is 200. So I've had a 75% reduction in the calcium deposits, which is medically impossible. Plus I had an angiogram and all of my soft plaques are gone. So you have fundamentally changed my life. This is just unbelievable what's happened. He goes, literally, I have to recalibrate my whole life because I wasn't expecting this. I didn't think that this would be going on. Now, just interestingly enough, I just came across this study the other day for people that are dealing with it. Nattokinase has been shown scientifically to dissolve the spike protein. Anything going on with spike protein these days? Talk to Alpernia, who set up this conference. He had long COVID. He came running up to me yesterday. He goes, Mike, I got to tell you, I've been suffering for this for 2 years. 2 months ago, I went on your protocol. I haven't had anything since. It's just gone. It's vanished. I said, yeah, because it eats the spike protein. That's what happens. From a 10,000-foot view, here's what's working. All 4 of these compounds, nattokinase, serrapeptase, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, are all individually strong anti-inflammatories. Synergistically, they're phenomenal. So the first thing we do is we calm that inflammation. Let's just get our bodies to calm down. The next thing that we kind of need to understand, there are different proteins in our body. There are endogenous proteins, which are healthy and alive and vital, and we absolutely need those. Then there are exogenous proteins. Those are dead. Those are not living anymore, like scar tissue. Women, like fibroids. Okay, like clots in our arteries or plaques in our brain. Those are not healthy. These enzymes are fibrinolytic enzymes. They don't touch any of the endogenous, the living proteins, but they scavenge all of the exogenous, all the dead proteins. I had a friend of mine phone me 2 days before this conference, and his wife had a cyst, ovarian cyst. It's gone. He goes, Mike, I mean, you kind of talked about it, but it just happened. I go, I know, it's dead tissue, scar tissue. For me personally, I had a car accident when I was 18. I got T-boned, and I had a calcification on the major ligament going up and down my spine, in between my shoulder blades, my thoracic spine. It's on my chiropractic x-rays. And he goes, Mike, it's gone. It's actually gone, because one of the things that happens in those calcifications is that they get a biofilm over them. So even if you took D3 and K2 from somebody else, it can't permeate and get to the calcium because of those biofilms. These are fibrinolytic enzymes, so they eat up the biofilm, and then the calcium, molecule by molecule, it's not flush. Somebody at the conference saying, so what, do you just flush it all out? No, it's now transported to your bones. So you have denser bones, you have more healthy teeth, and the whole thing is just kind of holistic. So the enzymes, just think of little Pac-Men that are just going through our body, just scavenging. And there's just anything that's unhealthy, anything that's not supposed to be there, it scavenges, okay? The D3 and the K2, if we have calcium deposits anywhere we're not supposed to, molecule by molecule. So people are saying, well, I'm worried about maybe plaques breaking off. It's not physical rotor-rootering, it's molecule by molecule, it's chemistry. So molecule by molecule, that calcium is taken out of those plaques, and it now goes to your bones and your teeth. So you actually get healthier, denser bones, okay? So the very simple protocol, I put all this together. I contracted with a lab out of Atlanta. They're NSF certified, they're GMP certified. They're just phenomenal to work with. I said, make the blend exactly what I did, exactly what my doctor did. I want this custom blend of these enzymes and these doses of vitamin D3 and K2. And they've done a phenomenal job, and that's where these people are getting these results. And it's just, to me, so humbling and just kind of so incredible, because I get feedback from people that are doing the protocol, and it's really kind of amazing. All of the information is on the website. All of the articles are listed there. There's a whole thing called a learning center, lots of videos that I've recorded, a link to all of these scientific papers. But the protocol essentially is this. You take 2 enzymes a day, and you take 2 vitamin pills a day. For best efficacy, take the enzymes on an empty stomach, because they're enzymes. So we don't want them eating, working on the food. They're not digestive enzymes, but in the presence of food, they're not going to. And they're enteric coated to bypass the gut, but I'm just giving you the best. So for my wife and I, and now all my kids are on it, I just keep it on the bathroom counter. And first thing in the morning, before I eat, before I do anything, I just pop an enzyme. And, you wait 20, 30 minutes before I don't do breakfast, but if you did, just wait 20, 30 minutes. The vitamins are fat soluble, so eat them with food. So you take 2 enzymes. I do 1 in the morning, 1 at night, last thing before bed, but that's okay, however you want to do it. Well, Mike, that's too much hassle. Then do 2 in the morning. Or do 2 at night. Just get them into your body so they can start scavenging all of those dead proteins, and take a couple of the vitamins with the meals that you do. That's the protocol. That's it. It's $50 on $49.95 a month. And here's the and if you go on the subscription, you get a discount and free shipping, and if you want to get off the subscription, get off it. It's not a trick. We're not trying to trick people. We're just trying to make it available. But the results are just astonishing to me. I just want to read this one to you, and then we'll wrap it up. Unsolicited, I get this all the time, and I got to tell you, that's why we do what we do, because it just warms my heart. It goes, the email I got, it says, I was referred to you by my primary doctor, Dr. David Winslow. My scan in October revealed 80 to 99% occlusion in the right carotid artery. Monday, I had a CTA brain, head, and carotid scan, now showing occlusion in the right carotid at less than 60%. I've only been on your product for 6 months. Please feel free to share my result to the doubting Thomases out there. You literally saved my life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care, and God bless. In his hands, Karen R. Ernest. I got goosebumps just reading that to you. That's why we do what we do, okay? I was going to use the hate word. I'll take that back. I strongly disapprove of some of the things that are going on right now in medicine. I strongly disapprove that there's $1 trillion of statin drugs that have sold, and it hasn't made one dent whatsoever. Look, thank you, and muscle wasting and all kinds of things. It's all kinds of horrible things. You got it, right? So we all know, right? And then natural things that have no known. I'll give you this one thing before we wrap up. People are concerned, well, if I'm on blood thinners, if I go on the internet, they say these enzymes are blood thinners. Okay, technically they're not blood thinners. They're blood cleaners. They go in, they clean up all the debris in your blood and in your tissues, in your body and in your brain. So for me, the goal would be to get off of blood thinners, but you talk to your doctor, whatever you want. But our whole goal, my whole goal, and what we do with this company is I want to make cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, fibroids, long COVID, the people that are having all these fibrin clusters. I want to make all of this stuff a thing of the past. So thank you for your attention. God bless you.